lesson I'm going to run through some of the fundamentals of how reggae bass lines are constructed. This will hopefully give you the skills to go away and compose your own reggae bass lines, and hopefully as well you'll learn more about how reggae bass lines work. On first look, reggae bass lines can look simple and straightforward, but although they're not technically hard to play a lot of the time, you have to have the feel really exact to make them work. There's also a wealth of syncopation in the bass lines and a mix-up of swing and straight feel, and often the bass line doesn't start on the root note. So first of all, a quick note about your sound. Now you need to get some of those low bass frequencies in there. So the way to do that, if you've got a P bass, I just knock the tone off. So knock those high frequencies off. But you can do that on different basses. You can do that on your amp. Just don't put a load of bottom end on your sound because it will become muddy. So you still need a little bit of punch there. But overall you're going for a kind of more bassy sound. And also you can play nearer to the fretboard. You can actually play over the fretboard if you want, or nearer to it here. And you can also use your thumb. But use whatever you're comfortable with. This is something that you'll need to experiment yourself with your own setup. To demonstrate some reggae bass lines, I've composed some grooves for this lesson. So first of all, listen to this backing track. It's got a straightforward drum groove on it, and it's got keys playing on the offbeats on 2 and 4. And also listen out for the silence on beat 1 of every bar, so there's nothing playing on beat 1, and the drums really emphasise the third beat of each bar. So that's the first backing track, and by the way I'm going to put the backing tracks at the end of this video without bass, so you'll get a chance to play through them yourself. So I'm now going to play the first groove that I've composed, groove 1. I'm going to play that over this backing track. So you might have noticed from that I didn't play on 1 either, I played on 2 and. And by the way, I've written this groove and all the grooves in this lesson on a PDF. You can get that by clicking the link below in the description. I've put the chord changes and I've also written it in tab or standard notation. So the first fundamental reggae technique is not playing on the first beat of the bar. Now this doesn't always happen, but sometimes in reggae bass lines you'll hear that there's nothing on beat 1. And if you combine this with the emphasis of beat 2 and 4 that the guitars or the keyboards do, then it makes 2 and 4 the really powerful beats. And if you see anyone dancing to reggae, they really emphasise beats 2 and 4. You'll see them really moving and landing on those beats 2 and 4. To play this bass line and to count yourself in, you'd have to count 1, 2 and you come in on the and. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 4, 1, 2. And this leads me on to the second technique, which is leaving a lot of space in reggae bass lines. So we come in and then we've got, 1, 2. 3, 4, 1, 2. 4, 1, 2. So we've got those long gaps between each phrase. So it makes a really sparse bass line, which in my opinion kind of makes it groove more. Now the third technique that you can use in reggae bass lines is using some swing. So we haven't got, that would be straight, and this is swing. Okay, and some reggae bass lines use a combination of swing and straight. So that works really well. You can kind of play a straight groove over a swing drum groove. So that's quite common in reggae. Note also that in this bass line I don't really outline the D minor groove. So we've actually got 2 bars of A, a bar of D minor and a bar of E minor, but I don't really play anything that kind of points out that it's a D minor chord. So it's a sort of pedal groove, this one, that's kind of over the A. I'm now going to play you a second groove over this backing track, groove number 2, and this will outline the chord sequence a bit more, so you'll hear that kind of definite A, D and E. So that was groove number 2, and this leads me on to the 4th fundamental reggae technique, which is the use of question and answer in your bass lines. So if we break that groove apart, we can kind of hear this first section, and then the next bit, that's a kind of answer, and then a question again, answer. So try and phrase your bass line in kind of 2 bars, 4 bar or 8 bar phrases. You can even just do a 1 bar loop if the chord stays the same. And the secret here is to have a fundamental groove that you repeat over and over again, but you slightly change every 2, 4 or 8 bars. The 5th technique is the use of syncopation between the drums and the bass in reggae. So in a lot of pop songs, the bass would follow the kick drum or the bass drum pattern. So you'd be kind of locked in and moving together. But in reggae, there's often they're interlinked, but the bass and the drums are doing different things. So you've got slightly different parts that kind of lock together. So you're kind of emphasising different beats within the bar. So we're now going to move on to a second backing track. Now this is a bit faster, and the drum beat does play on beat 1, but it still emphasises beat 3. So listen out for that. And then the keys part again is playing this offbeat kind of 2 and 4 pattern. I'm now going to play the 3rd groove to this new backing track, and listen out to where I play straight on the root notes, and then for the next 3 notes I play swing. So this is where you can mix up the swing and the straight feel that I mentioned earlier in the video. So this groove uses lots of the techniques that I've mentioned already. So it doesn't start on beat 1, it starts on beat 3. So 1, 2. I mean, you could start on beat 1, it would still work. You'd have a bigger gap there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, but it's actually written 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Like that, okay? You've got the question and answer there. Question, answer, question, answer. Okay, and there's still quite a lot of space in this bass line. So to finish off, I'm going to play a 4th groove over this second backing track. So have a listen to that now. The last technique that I'm going to mention for reggae bass lines is not necessarily starting on the root note. So this bass line here starts on the 5th, 1, and then the 5th again. So it's got to sort of pick up on the 5th. And they also use a lot of arpeggio and octave and 5th patterns. So if we look at the 1st and 2nd bar, we've got these notes over the G. We've got G, B, D, and G. So that's just an arpeggio. And on the A minor we've got root, 5th, octave. So make sure that you know your arpeggio patterns, and if you want help with that, I'll put a link now to an arpeggio video. Just click that and you can learn a bit more about arpeggios. But yeah, they're a really good framework for reggae bass lines. Well, hopefully this lesson has given you a bit more of an insight into reggae bass lines. There aren't any hard and fast rules. You can really play it what you want, but it's a good idea to understand what works stylistically. So just to recap from the lesson, the 6 techniques that we had were: number 1, not necessarily playing on beat 1. Number 2, creating a lot of space in your bass line. Number 3, using a swing feel when this sounds right. Number 4, putting question and answer into your bass lines. Number 5, creating a bass line that interweaves with the drum part but doesn't necessarily play the same rhythmic pattern. And number 6, starting on a note other than the root note sometimes, so you could use the 3rd or the 5th. So what I suggest you do is listen to as much reggae as you can, and then when you listen to the bass lines, try to pick out these techniques. I guarantee that there'll be a few being used in each bass line. So I'm now going to leave these 2 backing tracks running minus bass, so you can try these 4 grooves from the PDF along with the backing tracks, or you can compose your own grooves. So you can pick up the PDF below, and also remember to subscribe to me here on YouTube by pressing the red subscribe button and click the notification bell. And also, if you're interested in more bass resources, head over to my website gbshed.com. I've got more video courses, videos, books and a lot of free resources. This is Greg from Greg's Bass Shed. I'll see you in the next video.